Good day, grade 11 students. This is Miss Mayani. Love and share Christ. For today's lesson, we will be talking about three things. First, communication breakdown and noise. Second, cultural sensitivity in communication. And lastly, verbal and non-verbal cues. Let's start with communication breakdown and noise. Breakdowns occur in the communication process from time to time. A breakdown in communication occurs when the message or the feedback is not sent or received properly, at least in the way that the sender intends, or is not received by the concerned party altogether. An example of communication breakdown is when your phone conversation with someone is cut off just as you are about to tell the important details of your message. Another example of communication breakdown is when you cannot clearly understand the salient points your teacher is making because your seatmates are distracting you. Many of the causes of communication breakdown can be classified as noise. Noise is the technical term used to refer to all the possible barriers to effective communication. Noise may be physical, psychological, physiological, or semantic. Physical noise comes from the environment such as extraneous noises, white noise, unbearable weather, a distracting visual aid, etc. While psychological noise originates from the emotional state, mental state, and psychological makeup of a person such as depression, anger, suspicions, paranoia, biases, and many others. On the other hand, physiological noise are bodily conditions that compromise the ability of a person to send or receive messages. Examples are hunger, stomach ache, and many others. And lastly, semantic noise refers to anything related to the meaning of words that distorts or masks a message and confuses the listener. Examples are a speaker's use of a foreign language, a listener's limited vocabulary, or differing interpretations of the meaning of a word. Consider the classroom scenario in which you and your classmates are listening to a lecture by your math teacher. Physical noise may be the voices of your seatmates chatting with one another, while psychological noise is the other things you think of while listening to the lecture. Physiological noise, on the other hand, is the bodily condition you feel that make you lose concentration. This condition can be hunger, headache, body pain, and so on. Semantic noise refers to the language and how well you understand it. Now, let's see what you have learned so far. I want you to get your book and open it on page 11. Look at the exercise entitled, "What have I learned so far?" All you have to do is to tell what type of noise are the given examples. I will be giving you 2 minutes to answer this 12-item exercise, and after that, we will be answering all together. Now, grab your pen and start answering. Let's see if your answers are correct. Number 1, headache. What type of noise is headache? That's right, it is a physiological noise. Great! What about number 2, noise from a busy construction site? Correct, it is a physical noise. Number 3, missing someone. Great, it is a psychological noise. Correct. What about number 4? Disliking the speaker. Very good. It is also a psychological noise. Next number, noise from moving vehicles. Obviously, it is a physical noise. Great. Number 6, speakers' ambiguous words. Good, it is a semantic noise. What about excited to do something else? Correct, it is a psychological noise. What about grumbling of the stomach? That's right, it is a physiological noise. What about number 9? Poor ventilation in the venue. That's right, it is a physical noise. What about number 10? Talking among seatmates? Correct, it is a physical noise. Number 11, lack of interest in the topic. Correct, it is a psychological noise. And lastly, unclear pronunciation of words. That's right, it is a semantic noise. Now, let's count the number of correct answers that you had. All you have to do is to comment down below your score. Now, let's proceed to the cultural sensitivity in communication. Cultural sensitivity is the awareness that people have varying cultures and that the similarities and differences of these cultures affect the values, behavior, and learning of people. Cultural sensitivity is something that helps people accept or tolerate one another despite varying beliefs, moral codes, and point of view. It also helps people live together in relative peace. The lack of cultural sensitivity or cultural insensitivity therefore leads to misunderstandings or conflict. In communication, cultural insensitivity is a type of psychological noise that interferes with or distorts messages and causes communication breakdown. Take, for instance, a group discussion in which the participants are people of different nationalities and culture. If one or two members are culturally insensitive, there is a high probability that the participants will end up arguing against one another, which will in turn lead to nothing being agreed upon. Now, I want you to reflect upon these questions. Have you ever refused or hesitated to mingle with another person or group? What reasons did you have? What would cause you to behave or feel differently if you find yourself in the same situation in the future? Now, let's proceed to our last topic, which is the verbal and non-verbal cues. Observe two people in a conversation. How do you know if they are relatives, friends, or co-workers? Eavesdropping on their talk may reveal through their words how they are related to each other. If one addresses the other as mama or papa, and they actually look like, they are a parent and a child because of their physical resemblance and seeming age difference. Then, you can conclude so, Otherwise, you can only guess through other cues such as gestures and facial expressions. If the younger one kisses the hand of the older, you may be right to conclude that they are related and one is possibly the child, if not the nephew or niece of the other. Next, consider two men having a conversation in front of a restaurant. Both are dressed in business attire and are friendly, but not too familiar with each other. At one point, one of them shakes the hand of the other, and they say their thanks and go separate ways. You probably hear one say, "So it's a deal. I look forward to doing this project." You conclude that a business transaction has just occurred. Even if you do not hear that line from one of them, you can still safely assume it is not a friendly banter between two close friends with the way they shook hands and separated ways after. Lastly, consider an author writing a novel. He may smile or frown or clench his teeth in anger depending on his mood while typing his manuscript. He is alone, yet he gestures and makes facial expressions to express something. The given examples describe verbal and non-verbal cues that accompany intrapersonal and interpersonal communication contexts. Depending on the situation, the topic, the activity, and the persons involved, appropriate verbal and non-verbal cues are used to make the interaction clear and successful. Verbal cues are simply prompts that are conveyed in spoken language from one person to another or a group of people. On the other hand, nonverbal cues refer to sending of information through ways that do not require the use of language. Peter Drucker once said that the most important thing in communication is to hear what isn't being said. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. This has been Miss Mayani. Love and share Christ. Goodbye!